You're listening to the Comic Crusaders podcast. I am your host, Al Mega, CEO of Comic Crusaders and Undercover Capes. In this show, I'm sitting down with creators from all walks of life to talk about inspiration, process, the lessons they've learned, and a whole lot more. Hey, Father man, this is your boy Al Mega. Welcome to a brand new Comic Crusaders podcast. And today, we talking to a beast right now, son. Let me tell you, my man is a producer. He is a creator. I mean, he's worked on films and comics. I mean, films such as, Comes a Bright Day, The Resort I mentioned. He's been involved in some content that you guys may have heard about this group called the Gorillaz. Holy smokes. I mean, he's been working with this big legend, Jamie Hewlett. I mean, my man's been there since inception, one of his boys. And he got this fire project called Phoo. It's going to blow your fucking mind. We're going to talk about this. All right, it's gonna get wild because my man is the big boss. Even though I will say this, folks, before he comes on, he's wearing a hat that I don't appreciate because I'm a New York Yankee fan. So even though he has this hat on, I will allow my man to talk about Phoo Action. All right, the one, the only, the legendary, the big boss, creator, producer, weapon. Give me a big shout to the one, the only Matt Wakeham.
So now I'm going to be very English. You go, good evening. So I've got to put it in context for you, Al. So like that, let's be straight, right? I'm an Englishman wearing a Dodgers hat, right? The reason I'm wearing it primarily is because as a kid, I saw Cube. I'm wearing it. I saw Dre wearing them, and I was like, I've got to be wearing those. And listen to me, man. I had to fly into the US last year. My wife's Mexican. I was flying down to Mexico, but I had a connecting flight through Boston. I went through Boston wearing Lakers gear.
Oh my God! You was the guy.
as soon as I got to like customs, the TSA guy said to me, "We've got a shop here. You can go and buy some proper clothes before you leave."
Oh, I got kicked out of a store in Massachusetts the first time I moved out here because I had Giant stuff on me.
Oh yeah.
Stuff. And an old man in front of me had the same, but we were online, so we're discussing this. But obviously, the cashier didn't appreciate our conversation very much. And she was like, "You know what, guys? Either you stop talking about that, or you get the F out of my store." I said,
"Brilliant, yeah."
Oh my God, the hate is real.
So it's the same thing. Like I'm a Lakers fan, like because like as a kid, I was growing up in the UK in the 70s, right? We didn't see basketball, but what I did see was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in Game of Death with Bruce Lee, and I was just like, "Who's he, man?" And so like the way you pick up, the way we pick up stuff, what we did, obviously now it's just everything's just all the streams are crossed, right? I mean, they tried to warn us not to cross the streams, but it's too late, man.
Too late. Listen, right? Wasn't that crazy when you saw that movie? You saw Kareem when he got to that level, and this dude with the longest legs, I think he was the inspiration.
Unbelievable.
Awesome, because the way he kicked the shit out of Bruce, bro.
That big. Well, I mean, that big footprint on Bruce's jumpsuit. I mean, and as you can see, like when you look at Terry is like an amalgamate. One of the visual cues for Terry in the comic strip is Bruce from Game of Death and as Kato. Yeah, that's what it's. Bro. So it just sinks in there from when you're kids.
Let's get into it, man. Here we are.
Let's get into it.
I haven't even properly introduced. So, my man, let everybody know where you're originally from, but also, most importantly, what is the first thing in fandom that you ever fell in love with? The one that got you hooked like a fish.
Yeah. Well, so as I said, like, okay, so like, who I am, my name's Matt Wakeham. I've just put a book out in collaboration with Jamie Hewlett. I've known Jamie too long. I first met Jamie, as it says, like I met him in 1988. long time ago when he was still like, I mean, I think he was, you know, that he was like on the 4th episode of Tank Girl at that point when I first met him. So long time ago. And then, you know, we jump forward. We collaborated on this comic strip, and then through that work, I became his. I was the first person working alongside him on Gorillaz on the development of that.
Oh,
so
wow.
yeah, long story short. But my first, ask me, Al.
I do want to know that though, just for my daughter's sake. Like that conversation, so you're amongst that beginning of the Gorillaz, you know, worldwide music. It's dope. I mean, even listen, you see my old ass, but even I love Gorillaz. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean they transcend ages. It's crazy. It's 20 whatever years old now, huh?
Yeah, so talk about that conversation when that happened. Then, what was that like when you were there, and like, and did you even guys expect the reaction?
We get asked this question a lot. Did we expect it? Well, like when you make anything, you think you're making you're like this is the one, you know, like this. Like we thought we had everything right, you know, the right ingredients, and we were hope, you know, like all of our aspirations were for it to become what it's become, but you never know. And there were a lot of people, nothing had been done like it before. Obviously, Damon was known as the front man of a British indie guitar band, and that was, you know, they were big here, you know, Blur were massive here, so the label were really scared about how people would react to that. We just put our heart, you know, we just put our hearts and souls into it. Really, it was everything. It was what we wanted to do. It was a way for Damon to work in music that he hadn't.
Talk to me about your involvement though within that process.
So I was basically to begin with. So there was the music. You know, Gorillaz is, you know, music and visuals, and it was also at the beginning. It was like it's digital. Footprint. It's how the place you could interact with Gorillaz was online, interact with the characters. So I was the first hire that Jamie had. So I was his I knew him and Damon. We were friends. They were living together in West London, and I was at their house, at their flat all the time. It was like there was a year of parties. There's stories there that I probably can't tell.
There's not getting nobody in trouble right now. Let's be good.
So yeah, it was. We worked on it. And what was really strange was that, you know, I think like when it started really kicking off, I remember us starting to get music industry awards, and we won an award. We won like marketing campaign of the year, and it kind of fried my brain because I was like, I hadn't even thought, like, it made me do a 360 on what I was doing. We were just being creative. We were just expressing ourselves. And it was like, oh yeah, of course the industry are going to look at this as like a marketing campaign for music. But I think why it was successful is because we didn't treat it like that. We were, Jamie and I were coming from a completely different world. So Jamie was super, super busy. He was just having to draw and work on the music videos. And so I was there to I a long-term collaborator with him. So I was there. I'd go and while he was still having to be at the studio working on imagery and designs, I would go and have meetings with the record company. I would go into the animation company and make sure things were cohesive with, they had a cohesive visual look, that it looked like it was coming out all from one directive. I also, like my side of the job, I was the first task I was given was to create the Gorillaz website. So so I didn't build the website. I didn't build the website. I'm not a website designer. I was like creative lead on that for Jamie and Damon. So yeah, we built and the only brief they gave me is like we played they bought in this flat they lived in West London. They had this huge plasma screen TV. When the first TVs you could get that were this big, it was like this.
That says it all.
And they were playing like They were playing Resident Evil on the PS2 on it, and they were like,
great game.
Yeah, man. Yeah, they're like the only brief was we want it to be like that, and it was like this was just as like we were just really lucky that Flash had just come out, and so we made this. and it was like just as Web 0.2 was coming out. So the whole thing was this flash animated building that you could walk through, and it was like it was one of the first really gamified websites. So yeah, I worked on that, and then I did writing for the characters. I did. I sort of we built a studio. So then we built as the release cycle kicked off. We built a design studio around. I'm a trade. So I was art director on this book that's out as well. So this is like an extension. Really, like designing this book is like the culmination of a lot of the things that I did on Gorillaz as well. The writing, the design, the production. So yeah.
Then talk to me about that passion. And you didn't,
you need don't forget. I'm going to tell you my fandom because we've got into it already. We got into it, Al. Pat, because you're a passionate man as well, right? You love these conversations.
I love my shit. I love what I love.
Yeah. So let me circle back. Put a pin in that thing about the passion. Let me tell you about the fan. So as I said, I grew up, and I think I've started a bit with that already, right? Like the place where you just like in the 70s in the UK, like there weren't fandoms. I mean, it's like, there were, I guess it was a combination of things. I was talking with somebody on Twitter about this the other day. It was I grew up in this little seaside town on the coast in the UK, which is actually where the art school is, where Jamie and Alan went, and then I went after, and we all met.
The bromance happened. The promance.
Yeah, exactly. And it had this little it wasn't a magazine. It wasn't a comic book store. It had a box of like random silver and bronze age Marvel comics in there, and I just like pull one. They'd all be out of sequence, and I just buy them based on on the covers. And like my friend, my best friend at the time was a really big comics collector, whereas I was just more I was more interested in like just certain artists. Like I really love Buscema,
Buscema, fuck yeah, bro. Conan, that's my
yeah. So I was really into fantasy as well. So I was like, it's like I've got these really, like, as you've seen from my career, I've got these really broad tastes. So I was really into like when Ralph Bakshi put out the first Lord of the Rings animated movie. That my dad took me to that because my dad got me into like I read. The Hobbit was the first book I read.
The family also kind of was geeky.
We're just British, man. So it's like my dad was really into folk culture. Like I've got like books of his here, like on folklore and myths of
Oh, that's cool.
Legends of Britain. Like this is So it was just funny, like, and that's next to my Hellboy on my. So these things all sort of connect up. You get into, it's like, so, I'd look in these comics, and I was into the art and the comics and the characters, and I really loved I like the real that cosmic age that they were really into. I really loved the Silver Surfer, and I loved Doctor Strange at the time, and I loved Thor because my middle name's Thorsten, which is the son of Thor. So I was like, that's my fan. There's the hammer of God is right here.
Oh, he got his own hammer, bro. He ain't fucking around, bro. He take it seriously, baby.
That's an artist friend of mine's piece. That's a sculpture of his, a guy called Death Spray Custom.
Thor Wakeman. What a fucking name, bro. You should have done that. Thor Wakeman.
But I mean, as much as I love the stories, I love the comics, but I never read them in continuity. I loved the ads in them, as well. I loved the like Dr. J ads for sneakers and all of those things. It was pop culture that really excited me.
And I love this. You touch it. Oh, you my homie right here.
Yeah.
I'm a child of the 90s, you know what I mean? And I grew up in New York, Brooklyn, getting all of these cool hip hop swag. So, and you're talking about this right now. How was that like out there in the UK? How was swag out there with the look and was hip hop prevalent? Was it really just like London based, or did US?
Well, that was later. So, really, I guess it's like there were British scenes. We had real like. I mean, I'm I loved hip hop from the off. I mean, when I heard The Message when I was 13, something just snapped in my brain. I'd never heard anything like it, you know.
You got the
yeah, exactly. You know, it's broken glass everywhere. People pissing on the station and they just don't care. You know, it's like I was just like, what's this, man? Yeah.
We might have to karaoke when you go to the States, baby.
But in the UK, like we always had, there was a real tribalism to fascism, to fashion. The reason I said that as well is because there was like this in fashion as well. There was this real sort of in the 70s. There was like this fetishization of that as well. But it was like, so there was like all these different tribes. There was like there was the mods and the rockers. And then there was skinheads and there were punks, you know, and these things were really rooted in the culture, right? You know, it's like, and these people would, like they'd at bank holidays, they'd turn up to, they'd all travel down to the coast and have organized pitched battles with each other. It was crazy, man. So like the Warriors, I guess. The Warriors is a good example, you know, the good transatlantic comparison.
Oh man, that's so dope! I'm digging
this. But then of course the other fandoms I was into is like where it crossed over into TV as well. So I loved Bill Bixby as Dr. Banner and the whole, you know, Louis Ferrigno, and then it's like you know through Louis Ferrigno, I then got, you know, I always followed him, and then I saw him in Pumping Iron, which was the first time I saw Arnie. So it's like my fan, but it's pop culture. It's like, you know, what's.
Tell me, Arnold wasn't a dick to Lou when he was working out. He goes, "You think you have a big chest? This is the chest."
Yeah.
Arnold was such a dick.
No, he knew how to get into people's minds, man. That Pumping Iron is just hilarious.
He goes, "Yes, Arnold, you got the biggest chest." Like whatever.
when his dad's getting him to do curls and like scream Arnold with everyone that he's doing, and it's just that it's insane. And that's
you say Wakeham.
And that was all just staged, you know. Lou's dad wasn't really a trainer. They got him in, like that when you look at the behind the scenes on Pumping Iron, it's such a great piece of, you know, fictionalization of all their characters.
What's that movie by Rob Reiner? It's kind of like that Spinal Tap, right? That type of
yeah.
Now music.
So look, it's sprawling, you know. It's like what was cool, you know, what was on TV in the 70s are from the States and also from Japan as well. You know, we used to get like this series called Monkey, which was like a dramatization of the myth of the monkey god, which was just like all of the kids our age were just obsessed with it. It's just martial arts TV. And there's one called The Water Margin as well.
I looked this shit up, bro, for real.
Yeah. It's really cool, super cool.
All right, bet. So let's get into that creative zone. When did you start really like diving into the pen or start getting work out there? What inspired you? What happened? What was that spark that you said, I'm a break, I want to do something?
Man, it's all I've ever done, man. Like since I was a kid. Like, I mean, my first desire was to be a comic book artist. So that was what I wanted to be. Like, you know, I just drew and I drew and I drew all the time. Like I won the prize for arts at my high school, and like I got to buy it. Like you got money to buy a book, and I bought How to Buy Comics the Marvel Way. And my art teacher was really snobby about it. She was really disappointed in me. She's like, "Oh, comics." I was like, "Yeah, comics are amazing."
Oh my goodness, comics, yes.
Yeah, and I was like, "Yeah, comics." So it's great, but so it's always just been there. I mean, as I said, I went from school to art school. I was at art school for a long time, you know, and art school is where like Jamie and Alan Martin, who writes Tank Girl, and also Philip Bond. Philip Bond is also in the Phoo Action book. They left the year I started, but I was on the same course as them, which was a graphic design course. And so everybody on my course knew about those guys because they'd done a fanzine that was like, you know, was like kind of legendary in the school. But also that fanzine got picked up got seen by two big comic book illustrators in the UK at the time, a guy called Brett Ewins and another guy called Steve Dillon. You may well know Steve. You may know Steve more than Brett, because Steve did Steve did Punisher, did a big run on Daredevil, and obviously was co-creator of Preacher as well. And those two guys set up a magazine called Deadline, which is and they got Jamie and Alan and Philip into that, and you know they asked if they had any ideas, and they pitched some, and there was a 1-page ad for that Jamie had done to fill space, and it was just a drawing, and it said Tank Girl, she'll something bust, she'll do something and bust your balls, and they were like, we like that one, do that story. So they just like, okay, let's make it, you know. And that sort of fast and loose reacting to the moment is really sort of like a big part of their comic book making as well. So yeah, so that, you know, we were aware of them, and I got to meet them pretty soon after, and just started hanging out. They'd like notoriously would like work up to the last hour, you know, like they'd have a deadline, which would be say it was on the Friday morning. They'd work up till the last minute on Thursday night and then we'd get something called they'd get the first truck. They'd get the milk train. So it was a train that would be transporting milk. You could get it up to London and take the artwork into the printers.
No way.
Like you'd be like, just like Alan, we'd all be like Jamie would be like, oh, can you do the, like at the end on the pages? Like I'd be like, he'd give me a big black area to colour in while he was like still finishing up a bit, and Alan would be lettering it. But they also it's like they did work that way so it could be fresh and up to the moment, and you know, there was this real like Alan was really inspired. Like, Alan, the writer of Tanker, was really inspired by like the beatnik movement, and like Jack Kerouac always said, like first thought, best thought. So he liked to just he didn't write script. It's a version of the Marvel method, where whereas they'd sort of talk about the ideas for the stories. Jamie's like super prolific. He just goes. So like it would get to a point where, like, you know, Alan would turn up and Jamie would have drawn 2 pages before the script was written. So he'd have to retrofit, work out what he was going to write for it. So it was really organic and loose, and you could feel that energy on the pages, and it was really punk as well. You know, like they were like a couple of years older than me, so they were really out of that, you know, the tail end of that generation as well. Was I'm, you know, as you spotted, I'm more like hip hop, and I guess like the rave generation as well.
Look at us.
Yeah, man.
On that gym, baby. Let's go. All right, so just get into it. Like, talk about to me about Phoo Action, baby. All of this.
So Phoo Action.
The birth Phoo, man.
So Phoo Action.
Oh, wait a minute.
Phoo Action.
Put you on that. Put that up, man. Please. Look.
Yeah, Phoo Action. So look, this is the final. This is the final piece, but I'm just trying to find you the genesis here behind me on my shelves. Bear with me. So it was a comic. It was a comic. Jamie had done Tank Girl.
Okay. This whole collection. Gotta go with it.
Bear with me.
He got listen. That's how busy my man is. You saw that, right?
Here you go. So this is where it began, right?
Oh, bro.
This is my. So I like. This is a 27-year-old magazine. As you can see, it says up here. Get the freebies, an exclusive new comic strip from the creator of Tank Girl. Then it's got Mental, the best 50 clubs in Britain, and obviously there's Keith. And so
fire starter, you know how I love that shit out here.
Yeah. And it's crazy, you know. Like, I mean, I'm just flicking through here, and you can see like there's David LaChapelle shots of Jamie's, you know, the MGM Tank Girl movie.
Look at that.
I'm just, but yeah. So here you go. Look, I mean, boom. That's where it started.
Look at that.
This is an original copy of Get the Freebies right here, you know. And so Jamie had done, you know, Tank Girl had blown up on the scene and blown up on itself, you know. That I think the MGM movie was like ahead of its, you know, that like it was like before comic book movies were a thing, and you know, MGM had I remember one of the famous anecdotes is like Jamie and Alan went to MGM and one of the development executives or producer told them that making a film was like making a pizza. You just got the ingredients you like and you put them all together. And they were just like, oh, this isn't going to fucking go well, man. This like fucking, it's not a fucking pizza. There's a bit more to it. So, you know, that had kind of, Tank Girl had kind of driven her tank off of the cliff for a little while. And Jamie was sort of looking around what he wanted to do next. He didn't want to do, he was getting offers from obviously DC Vertigo was out at the time. I think he'd done A Shade the Changing Man, but he didn't really want to do I think the experience he'd done Tank Girl, The Odyssey with which one's that one? Yeah, he'd done this with Dark Horse, and I think the experience, like, I don't think he really, no, I know he didn't really enjoy the experience. Like, it had been coloured by someone else mechanically, and I don't think he was ever really pleased with how it came out. Jamie's like fastidious, right? Jamie's like,
hey man,
he's you know, it's like he's not part of a product. He's not somebody who's going to pencil and hand it off to an inker. I think doing that amount of work and then seeing it not quite come out how he would have liked, maybe not, you know, it's not bad, but it's not how he'd have liked. It was like, this isn't for me. And he had a manager at the time, and I think he really wanted to do to sort of, he didn't want to work for like the other big magazine here, obviously at the time, Comics Magazine, and the one that we all grew up on as well is 2000 AD. Is 2000 AD. Yeah, you know, I mean that was a massive influence on all of us. You know, it's like the artists that worked in here. You know, this is Brian Bolland's Dread. This is which is just masterful. You know, this is his Judge Death arc, which is just you know, a stone cold classic. Talking about adaptations that didn't work. You know, that's as soon as Sylvester Stallone took his. But the Carl Urban Judge Dredd movie is a banger, man. That's like
Urban got it, but not Stallone for sure. But Carl,
no. But the Urban one is great. No, so Jamie, this was kids. This is going to fry kids' brains, but like pre-internet. Magazines were our internet, right? This is where the only place you could get your information. This is where you found out what was cooking, what was up, who was hot, who was not hot. You know, this was it. So, and this magazine it's crazy to think about as well. But this was really like the first magazine. This was started in the 80s by some British journalists, and it was the first magazine that had fashion, film, music,
culture,
all in one place.
Culture, nice.
Yeah, but this was known this used to be called the Style Bible. The face was known as the Style Bible. So Jamie wanted to get in here. Jamie wanted to put a comic strip in here to really it really separated. You know, he's not your run of the mill comics artist. You know, he's a rock star of comic artists, right? That's what, you know.
That you guys had
that's where it started.
But the source didn't have cartoons and all that shit. It was about music.
Yeah.
I think it was missing that. And it had involved artists that are hip hop artists within that magazine.
That source was cool. Yeah, it was a really cool magazine. Jamie actually did a strip for Details magazine before he did this. He did a few Tank Girls for Details magazine, and that's really was the evolution of the style that he did for this. So anyway, look, this ran for 1 year. 12 and it ran for 1 year, 12 episodes, and I can it's like if I open up the book here, so this is the book. I'll show you.
Beautiful book. Yeah. It's
Thank
self-porn, bro. My God. Self-porn. My goodness.
Yeah. Well, I just think it's like, I just wanted to fight against the trend, It's like there's such a push now to everything to be the simplest, the most strict. It's like what's the streaming icon version of it? And it's just like, I love books. I love media. I love print. So that these are the 12 issues that it ran in. Let me get those. So like it's got a beautiful silver.
With gold eyeline.
It's silver. It's silver because it's the silver jubilee. Yes, it's like silver gilding on there. So it ran for 12 episodes. And so then he was going to do a second season of comics in there. And he I'd been away at art school studying fine art, and I'd come back every summer, and I actually stayed with Jamie in the summer. And I'd written a comic for Philip Bond, and Jamie really loved what I'd written for him. He wanted to write like the stories in this first season of Get the Freebies, what was called Get the Freebies before it became Phoo Action, was they were they were shorter stories. One story ran for 3 episodes, but there wasn't an overarching. There was a semi arc to it, but it had more of like it was more of a Looney Tunes where reboot, like the characters never progressed. They might die at the end of one episode and they'd just be born again. It's like there was no continuity to it. For the second season, he wanted to write a bigger arc, a 12 episode arc, and he asked me to come on board. What do we have here, Al? So yeah, he asked me to come on board, and so we wrote a 12-part episode in which he illustrated the first part, and then the editorial team changed at the Face, and they didn't want a comic strip in their magazine anymore. Whenever a new regime takes over anywhere, they want to put their mark on things, right? Yeah. So Jamie had illustrated this first episode.
Hold on. One second. Boom.
So this first episode, he'd illustrated this first episode.
Ooh. Okay.
But this is a color Xerox of it, because the artwork went missing from the offices.
What do you mean it went missing?
What do you mean it went missing? Exactly. So when you see, so they cancelled it. We had this whole 12 arc, this whole 12 comic book arc written, and they cancelled it. And look, this is all that existed of it. This is crazy. So this you see here, what's this? This is a flight. There's a flight to New York on there when I was a kid. So this here is the only copy in existence of the story treatment that Jamie and I wrote in 1997. And I kept it on paper, which is insane. Like since 1997, I've lived in hundreds of shared flats and moved all over London, and I keep this stuff. This stuff's important, So when I'd been asked to sort of whether I'd be interested in collecting Get the Freebies and what existed of the Phoo Action stuff a few times. I'd been asked first in 2017 by Titan, and I was like, I'm not sure, and I don't want to jump ahead too much, but we'd had a BBC adaptation of the material, and it didn't go well. It didn't. The pilot got commissioned as a series, and then the series got dropped. And I was just like, do you know what? I just don't know if I've had these 2 experiences of Phoo nearly happening, and then the floor being ripped out from underneath it. So I was like, do I really want to because if I step back, I was like, this is it. I was like, if I step back into this, I want to do it properly. And I want to do it, and I want to do it justice. This is what was in my mind, and I was like, do I have what it takes to pull a book of the magnitude that I want to put together together. You know, it's like it's no small order. You know, with all of these extras, I've got to find all of this.
That's sexy stuff.
And so when the book came about, I decided I was going to rewrite these 12 episodes. First things was I've got all of this. You know, there's all of this preparatory art. There's all this preparatory art in here. You know, so it's all of Jamie's workings, things that he discarded. So I had to go back into his archives and find all of this stuff. It took me. I've got bits and pieces of original art. I've got like about 5 to 10 pieces of original art. But then, like, I had to get into Jamie's archives, and then I found pieces that were like super low res that I had on old CD drives, and so I AI up-res them like that. You know, that was like 72 DPI, and I had to AI up-res it, and so it's like, man, like, what have I got into? You know, and at the same time, I'm writing the book and I'm designing it. So I managed. What was great though was that the comics had been published. Actually, there's the only time they've never been republished in English before, but they were published by a Spanish publisher.
Oh, cool. Los Freebies.
Por las Freebies. Yeah, exactly. And that was done in 2007. They've a lot of since then. A lot of the comic pages have just gone missing. Jamie's not really Jamie's he's like a creative shark, man. He doesn't look back. He just keeps moving forward, which is why he's so famed for his art style always developing. You know, because he doesn't some artists, they get a peak style and they stay with it, and that's what they do. Whereas, you can see the evolution of Jamie's work. And I mean, there's a mass in this book. I think you can see the evolution of what built up to what became the Gorillaz style. I think that's one of the things that's really fascinating about this book but not just in the visual style. Obviously, I was part of this. And this comic strip is hugely we haven't said what it's like tonally, right? It's like it's satirical. It's really sardonic and ironic. It really it's funny. It was appearing in this fashion and style and culture magazine, and the reason the editor liked it was because it was like that. It was a way that he could satirize the more ridiculous parts of that culture, and really take a pop at people who are from those scenes. So I took the 12, as I was saying, I took the 12 parts, and look, this is what I did with the original comics. What I managed to find was the black and white line work. So we got the color scans. And I worked with another comic book artist, a guy called James Harvey, who I worked with really closely on this book. Him and his partner Penelope, we worked really closely on it. He retouched all of the pages, and then we laid the blacks back over the top, so it looks like processed art. So we really restored those. But then I took the rest of the episodes and wrote them. I wrote them as an illustrated prose novel. So there's a 70,000 word prose novel in here, that continues the stories of the comics. And this is it's like what happened next year, it was what was supposed to be in the face. And Philip Bond is the only other artist who ever worked on the original comics, so it was really great to work with him again. And like my inspiration to do those illustrated prose comics, like I showed you earlier, were these when Mignola had done it. So I was like, I really want to do that.
My last podcast guest also big Mignola fan. It's like, I got a Mignola cover. It's like,
yeah.
Everybody appreciates these legends. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, bro.
But as I was saying, the Spanish publisher had scanned all the most of the original art, And like Jamie had lost in between 2007 and now, he's lost loads of the pages. So like it took me a year to get the original scans back out of the Spanish publisher, and then we had to re-letter it. We created a custom font to re-letter it, which again James Harvey created. He took because Jamie hand lettered these pages, but he was never super happy with his lettering. Like he always wanted like a professional letterer to do it. But at the same time, there's like an energy to the original lettering. You know, I think if you used like a too sanitized font, it wouldn't have the same energy. So what we did is we sampled his lettering and created a font out of it. So when you lettered it, it was more uniform, but still had Jamie's energy, you know, or Jamie and Philip, because they both lettered it.
Dope. And I want to show people a little bit over here. Let's get a little tease over here, because we're talking about this, and you know that's the image on that cover you showed. I mean,
yeah, Terry and Whitey, yeah.
So the wait is over. In this box is one copy each of the deluxe and the super deluxe versions of the Phoo Action book. 4 years, 2 deals, 2 announcements later. Let's see what we've got. 1 box and another box. 2 boxes, 2 different books. I'm quite nervous. A lot riding on this. Oh my God. 1, 2 Phoos.
When you saw that, how excited were you initially?
I was, to be honest, I was totally overwhelmed, Al. I've been as I said in that, it's 2 publishers later. We had a publishing deal. I'd looked at doing it as a Kickstarter before, and it was just like the book was too big. I'd never done if I'd done maybe a couple of Kickstarters on small, straightforward books before, it would be okay. But like the idea of making something like this and running production all myself was just too much. So like I looked into all that and I thought, no, I've got to get a publisher. And the Gorillaz had done some books with a publisher called Z2, who are like a music and comics, comics publisher. So we went to them, and like the old CEO is a massive Hewlett fan, and it was like, you know, I mean, it was like it was what, you know, like you have tough meetings and you have easy meetings, and this was the meeting. It was just like he was like, "Fuck yeah, I'm a Hewlett fan. Let's do it." So it was like, okay, brilliant. That's so exciting. Let's do that, you know. But it's like there's a whole long story there. But it's like it was announced with them, but it was never really. It was never taken forward into production, and I had a clause in my contract. We had a clause in our contract that is if it didn't go to print within 9 months of signing the contract, and the rights came back to us. And so I just went quiet. I was like, these guys aren't, you know, they'd had some issues. You know, I think they've turned it around now, but the original CEO left, and that I just think it's like there's this pattern with Phoo, where, you know, it's like you get a deal and then the team changes, and the passion isn't there. So I just let it go quiet and got the rights back, and then went to Titan. So this is a long preamble to say it'd been 4 years in production, like before. So yeah, it was supposed to come out in like 2 years ago, you know, because that was the real 25th and that's the real 25th anniversary. So I'd been waiting so long to see it that I was like, not only am I seeing my book for the first time after all of these trials and tribulations, after the Phase cancelling the second series of comics, after the BBC commissioning a series and then dropping the series a week before we start shooting, after going through one publisher. So I'm like, not only have I been seeing it for this, but I've been asked to do an unboxing, and I'm like, I've got to be coherent. So I was like, I can't fucking do this live. I'm gonna have to film this. And to be honest, it was like an out of body experience, Al. I couldn't really take it in. Like I'm more. It's like now it was still like it wasn't really happening because it had been something that was happening in my house and in my design studio. Yeah, this is the website we built for it. Go to Explore. If you click on Explore, you'll be able to go through all the movies we made for it.
My man got mad stuff here, man. Look at this.
Yeah,
Action.
yes.
Ooh,
So
look at that. Oh, I love the interaction of the site right now.
yeah, we just wanted every touch point that people came to with Phoo. You know, if this is their first time they're coming across the book, if it's the first time they're coming across it, that's the Instagram page. It's like it's immersive. I wanted to build this immersive world, which is what I did with Gorillaz. Really, you know, it's like creating this immersive environment where all the touch points feel like an encapsulation of the IP. You know, so that was really important to me. To build, you know, Titan have been like, you know, saying we've had all these bad experiences. Titan have been nothing but supportive. You know, it's supporting me in my vision in building this site, in putting the book out in all of its, you know, massive, there's two different versions. There's this, you know, super deluxe version that comes with the patches and with 5 prints, and you know, that's signed by James.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and it's signed. This like the super deluxe. The super deluxe is hand signed by Jamie and me as well.
I gotta ask. The reason my man don't got shoes is because there's no way that there's a shoe that fits. Because my man got.
No, it's because his feet. It's like Bruce would say, his feet are registered lethal weapons.
Oh shit, bro!
they're the feet of fury, man.
Bro, feet of fury. Look at them things, bro. My gosh, bro.
Yeah. But the thing about Terry is
he got Kareem feet.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. He's got Kareem's feet, man. He kicks you in the chest. You're gonna know about it.
Oh yeah, fuck yeah, you will. Jesus Christ! And look at this artwork. I love it. Look at this.
Yeah. So that's So that was from that episode was from the Christmas special when Terry they go to the Face magazine Christmas party, because it's very much set in contemporary London. But the freebies, who are the super criminals in this, who are mutants, they spike the food at the party with acid, and the acid is based on the acid is based on a soap opera we have here called EastEnders, and it's all based. They're called Albert Squares, which is the square in London. So, look, this gatefold here is Terry's hallucination. So he's on acid. That's why he's screaming "fuck" there. And that Cyclops is Liam Gallagher, who's the lead singer from Oasis. So Liam's a recurring character. Like here, you can see him beating the fuck out of the lead villain. There, he's got. Yeah.
I'm taking acid, so yes, I understand, and that's what that bugged me.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, psychedelics says that there have been a few psychedelics involved in the making, or in as the inspiration for undoubtedly.
So, is this the whole cast of characters within the realm of Phoo?
So yeah, well, in the first season, Terry and Whitey, who Phoo Action were fighting. They were just tracking down a criminal gang called the Freebies. And as Jim Rugg said, he said that it wasn't even like they were causing real crime. They were just like more getting into trouble and causing mischief, like spiking parties full of acid and this is the cast of characters for the second season that I've written as the prose novel, where London is taken over by the spirit of an ancient Chinese demon called Li Long Chang, and he he recruits a new set of criminals who've taken over the place of the freebies. The freebies are these three characters who are called. This is Jimmy, Marlon, and Burke, and they're the freebies gang. Jimmy's the leader. The guy with the basketball on his head is the leader. Burke is the big dumb muscle, the purple gorilla, and Marlon's kind of is Jimmy's right hand man, and like Jamie famously says that he doesn't. He's a bit camp and he doesn't do much. But I've built on his story a bit more. That he's criminal genius and what he has to do working for like a psychopath genius like Jimmy. What that means having to be the underboss. The sort of simping he has to do.
More of a pinky than the brain, you know. He really is.
Exactly. That's a beautiful reference, man. Yeah, because also like so, you know, talking about pop culture references, like one of the references for Phoo Action is like if Terry's Hong Kong Phooey, then Whitey's Spot the Cat. Like Terry's an amazing martial artist. But he's also not, you know, maybe not the, you know, he's not Batman. He's not the world's greatest detective. Let's put it that way. You know what I mean, man? So he's like, Whitey's there, and she's his superhero sidekick. But she's armed. She's armed both with her utility pants, which are like Doctor Who's TARDIS or Sport Billy's bag. It's like they hold the inside them is like an unfeasibly huge arsenal of weapons. She's got vehicles and weapons inside of her magic utility pants. But worse than that is a withering disdain for idiots. Like you can't, she'll kill you 100 yards, but just with her ice cold stare. So yeah, these and there's the other characters. Which one?
Fuck is this, bro? This looks horrible.
That's sick bag Cyril. So he was the boss of a new criminal gang that was planning to take over after the freebies had died in the end of the first season, after they'd blown up King's Cross by accident with a nuclear device. And he lived in the radioactive center of it with his new gang. And yeah, he's got a bag on his head that's full of vomit.
Oh my god!
And his gang's called the Peridian Gang. So the other characters in his gang, there's Franz Former, Cyril used to be the landlord of a bar in King's Cross, and King's Cross used to be a really, really seedy area of London, like Times Square was really. So there were lots of table dancing bars, but a British table dancing bar is a whole different thing. It's like they had sawdust on the floor so that it would mop up the blood and the sick after the fight, so you could just sweep that up. It was hardcore. And this was a real place. It was called the Flying Scotsman.
Why would they go to a strip club for that?
It's a tough, weird race. The Englishmen.
Made me mad. What's going on? Fran's Fusion there is after this nuclear device went off, she's all of the girls who were dancing in the club on that shift fused into one huge hulking character who's got the strength of 7 strippers. And I mean, if you know anything about strippers, it's like that, you know, these women pole dance, they're strong. You don't want to mess with them, man. So yes. But she's crush her hair like a melon, bro. Forget about it.
Yeah. But she's incredibly graceful as well. Of course, she can defy gravity despite her looks. And then the other members of his gang are the Stink Bomber, who is this thwarted ex-thespian. He always wanted to be in musical theatre but could never get into musical theatre, and wants to take his revenge out on Theatreland in Covent Garden. With his putrid concoctions of stink bombs. And then another member is half man, half shark, the Sharky. You can see him there. He's next to Terry, the little guy.
Let's go, man.
Yeah, up the top there you can see a little shark head, and then the last member is the Enfeebler, who's an ex British pop star, a guy called Brian Harvey. He used to be in a pop rap group called E17, and he was involved in this is a true story. He ran himself over with his own car after eating too many baked potatoes. You can look this up. You can look this up on the internet. You can look this up on the internet. It's like there's stuff you can't make up. And we were just like, that's not a supervillain origin. I've never heard. Heard of. So after that, we carried his character on, and he cut his skull was cracked, so he pulled his cranium off, and it released all of his mental powers because his brain's revealed. So he can his beautiful voice can hypnotize people. So there's this new supervillains that get recruited by this ancient Chinese demon and take over London.
So is he trying to just
Are you still with? Are you with me, Ali? We said psychedelics were involved.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is he trying to like remove all the potatoes out of the world now? Is the against potatoes? No more potatoes in the world.
It's insane, isn't it? I mean, it's like that's not even a part that I've made up. That is what it is.
Yeah, listen, folks. You want to have fun? This is something you got to visit. You know.
Here you go. So here you go. Like, here you see. Like, here's the spirits of all of the. Here's the spirits of all of the girls in Fran's body. There, that's amazing. That's a new illustration by Philip Bond. And there's a bit of nudity here. Are we okay with that?
It's all right.
So here's Li Long Chang after he's captured Whitey. He's like he sees her as the perfect vessel of evil. He can't believe that he's met someone like in this modern age who's just so depraved.
So
Crazy. Yeah,
this is the book, folks. You hear this? So tell everybody. I mean, right there, it's phooaction.com, right? People could buy it here right now, right? Because again, let me show you.
Yeah, right here, right now.
Right there, you see that? Listen, if they buy now, will it come home before Christmas?
Yeah. So like I've shown you
What's the cutoff for Christmas? What's the cutoff time for Christmas?
Well, Amazon is still delivering, aren't they? So like if you so that the Super Deluxe you won't be able to get in time for Christmas. So the one the signed one with all the patches and the extra prints, if you want that. Like that will be delivered after, and you can only get that from you can get that from Forbidden Planets in the UK, and you can get it from Another Universe in the US. But wait.
Forbidden Planets in New York. You're telling me Forbidden Planet in New York have it?
Yeah. They may have the Super Deluxe in stock. Yeah. I can't vouch for that. But this is the deluxe. This is the deluxe version. So this one doesn't come in a clamshell. This comes in a slipcase. It comes with prints as well. It's the same book, but it's not signed. But yeah, it's the same book, and that comes with a sleeve. With these three prints. This is the new piece of art that Jamie did. That's in the background of our chat as well. This is the freebies. This is a piece of art that was done for the TV pilot for the freebie serial. And this is a classic Whitey action design that Jamie did, and then turned into a poster, a print that was sold with at a show with the fine artist Banksy. So it's a reproduction of that, yeah. So the book, I mean, it's like the book's, it's 464 pages. It's like it's like there's layers and layers in here. If I've shown you the beginning. That's is Jamie's prep work, is the comics. Yeah. I've shown you the prose art, and then after the prose comics, it then goes into the whole experience of making the pilot. So it's got the concept art for the pilot, characters that Jamie designed for it, t-shirt costumes. This dragon that's on this print is a motif that Jamie uses now repeatedly through Gorillaz. Then it's got the shooting script for the pilot as well. but it's got these. It's got the storyboards too. So, like again, it suffered. The pilot was done with really good intention, and we worked with really good people. So I always want to be. I don't want to be super negative about it, because the people who love it and the people who worked on it cared. But it was before comic books were being properly adapted for we were again like Tank Girl was ahead of its time, and this really was ahead of its time. We wanted it to be more like the Beastie Boys body moving video, like a Nathaniel Hornblower thing, and we wanted it to be, have more of that sort of, satirical style. And the BBC just couldn't. We wanted it to be like a mix between like Kung Fu Hustle and that, and the BBC they make Doctor Who, and it ended up looking, and the reference they had was sort of like, they thought they'd make Doctor Who that was a bit like the 60s Batman. And it just didn't. It's like lots of it looks great, I mean, with God, man, we had, it looks fantastic. We had there's Whitey and Terry in the Foomobile with her sparking up a big bifter. It's like we had, it's like we had Carl Weathers in it, man. It was like
man, rest in peace, that legend. He looked great. I was watching it, man. I'm like, wow.
Yeah. I mean,
it shocked me,
Yeah, like and as an Arnold fan, it was like I couldn't believe it. It was like it was not only it's like we sent it to Carl, and I was just like, well, it's enough that that Carl's reading it. Like I grew up watching Rocky and Predator, and like these were like just like my mainstay. Then when he accepted the role, I couldn't believe it, man. Well, and Lucky Gilmore as well, man. The man has like just the best comedy action and comedy chops, and so like meeting him and working with him was amazing. So it was great, but it never quite was what we intended. Jamie had begun to do some amazing, like for the series. Jamie had done some amazing character designs for that as well. So there's a lot of tastes of what could have been, and also like just Hewlett art that people have never seen.
My daughter's gonna love this. They gotta jump on this. Let me tell you, this was great.
Yeah. So I mean, I've got to tell you, when I met Carl Weathers the first time, I met him in the corridor of BBC Scotland, and I foolishly decided to shake his hand like a Dutch in Predator. When Arnold and him clapped hands.
Yeah.
And he looked, and he just called my bluff, and he did it so fucking hard, Al. I was like, right, this is a test right here. I can't wince. And he just held my hand and squeezed it, and I was like, this is fucking so hard. And I really wanted to say to him, the CIA's got you pushing too many pencils, but I just didn't. It was like, I think I'm taking the piss too much if I do that to start with. So I bottled it.
I love it. Rest in peace to Carl, man. A legend, man. A wonderful opportunity. And dude, thank you for hanging out with me.
Yeah, rest in peace. Yeah.
Yo, bro, I thought I had.
Yeah, thank you for having me, man.
Even though you got that LA hat, like I said, I still respect it. And I love you, and I love everything you're doing right now. You're a big boss.
Yeah.
Folks, you did it to fuck.
Yeah, thanks. Listen, man. Now I really appreciate you having me on.
I'm excited about this. You got this. You make me. You got a fire project. I'm excited about it. I mean, you got to meet. It's you. You guys have wonderful humor, and like we were talking about this. Like this is something that happened obviously years ago, but it's still so relevant today in the humor.
Yeah.
You guys.
It's still a complex comic, it plays with conventions, it's like it still isn't, it's still got a female lead, it's got it's got the female lead, the action hero is an openly gay man, but he's not a cliche. It plays with all sorts of things. It moves. It's got a lot to say today.
Guys, I only really started reading it, but I didn't even realize that yet.
So his boyfriend's horrible. He's a right rotter. So look, as long as it's been amazing talking to you. Let's see if I get cancelled for calling fascism earlier on.
But
fashion is fat. Let's face it.
calling me. I dress all in black all the time. A big, except for
Yeah,
today.
yeah, man.
Have you watched this show? This shit geeks me out every time. Big shout out to Brian Weiss for giving me the T-shirt. I knew you're coming.
Yeah, toys and makers. Yeah,
Well,
totally.
let
We
me
didn't really
ask.
get into toys. Another time out.
No, I'm gonna ask you right now, real quick. I'm gonna ask you this last question before we go. Two more questions.
Coming in, man.
When it comes to toys,
Whatever, man.
Two more. Well, when it comes to toys, what was your jam as a kid?
Oh man, so evil. So we had the Evil Knievel jump site stunt cycle.
Oh
man,
shit!
that was just
stop. Really?
Yeah, you know, so plugging him in and winding him up till he and building a ramp so he just went off, and like all he wanted to do, like, you know, it's like, but you know, like we couldn't believe it over in the UK, you know, we'd like who is this insane guy who just try, you know, he'd come over to Wembley and try and jump buses and double-decker buses and just crash into the 13th one, and all the kids were just like, you know, all he wanted to do was crash his toy. So we had that. I guess like we didn't have to. Our GI Joes were called Action Men.
Yeah.
So like Action Men were so like, you know, like, so action figures were really big. I was really into Micronauts as well, which were like Micronauts were like these tiny, and they were like really. I liked them because they reminded me of like G-Force, the that anime, the anime that was cut by the Americans. So I was really into that. So yeah, it's like anything that I could get my hands on that sort of had like that sort of US or Japanese feel. Yeah. So those were my big jams there. I mean, you could keep going, right? I mean, you know, Legos, but more so.
Everything fits about your journey with what you like to know and how it actually fits.
It's so funny. I was in the car with my son the other day, and he was asking what I did at school, and I said, you know, the things I study. You know, he's 12, so obviously he's at high school, and he was asking what I studied, and I explained that, you know, I did drama and I did art and I did design, and he said, so all the things you did at school are what you do now, and it's like it was like. I come from a really blue collar family, and nobody really understands what I do. They're always like, I don't know what you do for work. Do you have a job? And I felt really seen now, you know. It's like my son, he sees what I'm about. Yeah.
I don't understand that. My parents like that podcast. Is that radio? No, it's not radio.
Yeah. Is it radio? Is it TV? Is it? So it's not real then. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? They don't get it, but whatever. You know, so last question here. Is like, yo, dude, I mean, we got this beautiful project. I mean, where are we going? Where can we see you? Where can we meet you? You doing any conventions? Are you going to be like popping around anywhere? What's going on? What's 2025 looking like, baby? Where we could shake your hand, get a signed copy? You know what I mean? What's going on?
I want to get out to the States next year. I haven't done any. I did a signing at the launch. I did a pop-up at the launch in London a couple of weeks ago at the Cartoon Museum in London. That was a really good event. But yeah, next year I'd like to do some more conventions. Like I'd really love to get out for Comic-Con in San Diego. It'd be great. You know, New York. Yeah, it'll be great. You know, for years I said I probably wasn't going to do anything else with food, but like, as you can tell, like getting back into doing this book, I love these characters, you know. To be honest though, when I finished writing the 70,000 word novel, I was like, oh, I don't know if I can get in. I don't know if I could do that again. But yeah, I've got the flavor for doing some more comics as well.
Yeah, let's go. This is what we want to see. This is what I want to hear, kiddo. Please bring it, man. Bring me more of the Wakeham universe over here, baby.
The Wakeham verse. Yeah.
Verse. Let's go. I'm a fan. I'm not burning anything. I might, thank God. All right, but hey, bro. Listen, this whole instance lasted a whole interview, if you believe it. There we go. I lit it when we started.
That was perfect.
Smells good. My blunt is done, and so it's this wonderful interview with this amazing creator. So, folks, I'll be showing this off, you know, on and off. You know it. Follow him on social on Instagram at Phoo. That's PHOO_action.
Yeah, that's me, and that's the real hub. Like Instagram, I've created a huge the account is a huge collage. So you know, don't just look at the posts on there. look at the account works as a whole. I've created the account as if I scroll up
Nigga,
there, you'll see it's all a collage. So
oh,
it's like,
oh, dope. I see what you did.
and then when you go through there's carousels, and I expand the story there. So as I said earlier, I want all touch points. So, and if people reach out to me, I chat in the DMs. I'm like, I'm accessible. I'm there. I'm around.
He's not shy, and then of course you'll go to Action Phoo with again PHOO Action also on Facebook, and also the website Phoo Action
Check that out. Yeah.
Go to that website, hit that buy now button. Listen, folks, it'll get to your house in time for Christmas. It's a beautiful gift for the nerd in your life. Listen, if you have a music fan, a comic book fan, now this is like the perfect gift for either or just somebody that likes reading and digs like this documentary style book, if you will, right? Because you got those behind the scenes, you got all those different looks, those scripts. Like, yo, for real, man, and an inspiring type of book that'll teach people too, like the storyboard. I like that. Like you show people what the storyboard looks like. This is what
it talks about the industry as well. I think it's really important as like an elder in the creative industries as well to hand on experience. What it's like, what it means if you do the wrong deal. What it's like working with people. So there's that as well. There's the I wanted this book to work on lots of different layers. People take information in different ways. Some people are visual. Some people like to read. Some people like the history. So I've made this. This is the Phoo Bible.
You heard that? La Biblia de Phoo, baby. Let's get it done. Make sure you get it again. That's that website. You can hit that buy now button right there to get delivered to your home for Christmas. Again, for the nerds and geeks in your life, and music fans and all. Yo, Matt. Yeah, I'm excited, but the Wakeham verse, more Phoo Action, more Phoo. We gotta make it happen. Crusaders that tuned in, much love. I appreciate you. Again, we have one more show to do, and then we're gonna be taking a break for the holidays. Everybody, much love. I appreciate all the support. It's Al Mega, it's the Comic Crusaders. You know what it is. Hasta la próxima, mi gente. ¡Huepa!
Thank you for listening to the Comic Crusaders podcast. If you like the content, subscribe and turn on notifications. Also, please visit comiccrusaders.shop and our extended podcast family over at undercovercapes.com. And also make sure to download the Comic Crusaders app on the Google Play Store today.
Thank you